A happy new year to all our viewers. May we all get together and reassure each other that surely this time things can't possibly get any worse, and may we be correct for once. But there's one subject that's always close to our minds around the holidays, indeed the very thing that in most people's lives direct the holidays, and that's tradition. Perhaps that's my English blood talking. We've always been set in our ways and big on pointless rituals as a people. It could be on my mind because I've just found a store in California that sells imported mincemeat and was able to bake traditional mince pies for the holidays. No, it doesn't actually contain meat or is minced, but it's called mincemeat because our grandparents called it that, and that's good enough for us. That's Britishness in a nutshell right there. You may recall way back in the extra punctuation days that I did a video expressing how I kinda miss E3, the now defunct LA gaming convention, even though it was a shameful, hype-filled mutual masturbation session that was always a complete pain in the arse to attend or cover in any way. And my eventual conclusion was that I missed it because it was a tradition, and tradition is more than, to paraphrase Warren Ellis, what conservative people use as an alternative to thinking. When we're all obliged to do the same thing in the same place, it brings us together as a community, even if it's something none of us particularly want to do. Especially, actually, creates solidarity. It helps us identify who's the in-group and who's the outsider, so we know who to shun. And gaming as a community suffers still from a loss of concrete traditions like E3. With the influence of corporatism in both game development and games media, our beloved industry is at risk of losing its soul. So in the name of reconnecting ourselves with our shared humanity, I'd like to compile a list of those little quirky traditions and rituals that have emerged within the video game lifestyle, both when playing socially and alone. Traditions that nobody deliberately started, and which are rarely acknowledged, but somehow everybody knows. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, the first item on my list will make things a lot clearer in just 5 words. Well, 4 words and 1 isolated letter. Press F to pay respects. Now, of course we all know that's a reference to a famously mawkish moment from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, but who was the wily wag who first referenced it by typing F into the stream chat after a streamer died in the game they were playing? Why did it then become de rigueur to do that every time a streamer dies? It's impossible to say, and impossible to predict when these things will catch on, but we all feel a little bit closer when we see it happen and all express understanding of the reference. But of all the stupid things Call of Duty has done over the years, it seems a bit arbitrary to memorialise this one. What about giving Kevin Spacey a paycheck? I shouldn't complain, because one of the most joyful things about this is that since pressing F to pay respects has graduated from meme to full-on insider handshake, means that Call of Duty is officially never living it down. They could pump out nothing but all-time legendary hits for the rest of time. They won't. But as long as people are still dying on streams, everyone's going to be constantly reminding each other how dogshit that one Call of Duty game was. But staying in the realm of typing single letters into group chat, what about the tradition of typing GG at the end of a multiplayer round? I don't even want to speculate on when that started. I remember doing it playing Team Fortress Classic in the 90s. I suspect it partly came about because it's only polite to acknowledge each other when the round is over and we're all ascending from the adrenaline haze, and it needed to be something extremely short and fast to type because any moment the level might change or we'll all get kicked from the server. And so we say GG to mean good game, a verbal equivalent to the little polite smattering of applause after a game of cricket on the village green. And you still say it even if you've just played the most terrible match of your entire fucking life. For the same reason guests at a dinner party still compliment the food, even if it tastes like watered-down tripe. Tradition number 3, one for developers now. All immersive sims that take any influence from the pioneering games of Looking Glass Studio, like System Shock, Thief, etc., must at some point feature a numerical lock solved with the sequence 451, or 0451. This is an in-joke referencing the code on the front door of Looking Glass Studios, which in turn was probably a reference to Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, named after the temperature at which paper burns, implying that our narrative video games are so great they render books obsolete. Pretentious, perhaps, but if anyone's entitled to be pretentious, it's the developers of Thief, in my view. Tradition number 4. When you finish the main campaign of an open-world sandbox game and are dropped back into the world for post-ending fuckabouts, when you get bored and are ready to quit the game, tradition demands you do one or both of the following before you can leave. 1. Climb to the highest point of the map and hurl yourself off, or 2. Try to escape from the map. And should you discover that the developers didn't do anything fun, like have you be eaten by a giant sandworm or something, but instead just weakly fade out and fade back in with you teleported back into the world with no further comment, tradition demands that you then blow a big raspberry. Tradition number 5. When playing through Half-Life 2, when you get to the bit at the start of Black Mesa East, where Eli Vance says to Gordon Freeman that it's time to get out of that hazard suit and back into a lab coat, you must respond by vigorously shaking the mouse left and right, as if Gordon Freeman is vehemently refusing. Tradition number 6. When playing something like a roguelike or a game with a lives system or anything else with a similar kind of critical resource management element, and you make a stupid mistake very early on that results in the loss of a life or important resource, you are obliged to continue playing that run regardless. If you deliberately kill yourself or restart so you don't have to live with your stupid error, you are officially a dick. Tradition number 7. When stealing a car in a Grand Theft Auto game, you must make an at least token effort to run over the driver before they can get away. Needless cruelty, I agree, but I don't make the fucking rules. Tradition number 8. If you're playing a multiplayer game in which you have to hang around a prep area of some kind with other players before the match starts, like in PUBG or the Spawn in Overwatch, and you notice someone being conspicuously immobile to suggest that the player is AFK, you must then stand in front of them and do something silly, like an emote or go prone and stick your ass in their face, in order to slightly freak them out when they finally get back from whatever they're doing and happen to glance at the monitor. Tradition number 9. You must reinstall Skyrim. Like now. Because I mentioned it. Tradition number 10. As soon as you start a round in a team-based multiplayer shooter, the first thing you must do is ascertain whether or not friendly fire has been left on. It is doubly important that you do this if you happen to be on a team with Editor Nick. That's all I've come up with so far, so once again I'm going to cover for a weak conclusion by appealing to the comments. Let us know down below what other mysterious traditions and rituals have emerged in the course of our lives in gaming. Remember, this applies to both multiplayer games in which we do them to signal our membership of the in-group, and single-player games in which we do them to satisfy an irrational instinct that they are somehow necessary. But it's important that nobody consciously decided to start doing it. That's what defines tradition, isn't it? Arguably. Why is marzipan a traditional component of Christmas cake? It's not because of anything rational, like people liking the taste of that vile fucking stuff.